You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brummel.
Thanks for listening to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brummel, joined by our radio friend and executive producer, Ethan Euchre.
Glad to be here.
All right. Well, every week we go on to tell you about the stark differences, the contrast between the Bonati spine procedures and other things on the market called minimally invasive and or just laser spine surgery. And there's a big difference because Dr. Bonati was the one that created all of minimally invasive spine surgery. He broke from the mold of that traditional spine surgery that wasn't yielding good results. And then he thought of the Bonati spine procedures, and it brings about true patient pain resolution, a 98.75% patient-reported success rate, and that's amazing. Now, others in the name of minimally invasive, they have gone in through small incisions. Sometimes they don't even perform surgeries, and we see them at the Bonati Spine Institute. And others go in and they introduce things that are highly invasive, like screws and plates and rods, and it's problematic because sometimes those instruments twist and they tangle the nerves, and it just sounds so painful thinking about it, let alone if you're one of the people that has that going on in their backs or necks. It is so scary and so painful, but they're able to seek resolution with the Bonati spine procedures. So you always like to say flattery or imitation is the biggest form of flattery, but when it comes to your back, you want to go to the people that paved that path and still remain at the top, and that would be the Bonati Spine Institute and all the surgeons handpicked and trained by Dr. Bonati.
I always say about generics and things like that, where it's okay at the supermarket sometimes to get the generic brand of something,
or shampoo,
whatever,
right?
But
sometimes this is spine surgery.
Yeah, when you're messing with your back, you want the best. You want the top of the top of the line brand name.
Yes.
Brand name. Now I'm doing spoonerisms
Name brand.
there. Brand name, and that, of course, would be Dr. Alfred Bonati.
Yes. Well, we have an exciting show today, but up first.
In today's Back to Life segment, we will talk to a patient of the Bonati Spine Institute who went from living a life that was restricted by pain and discomfort through their journey of finding the Bonati Spine Institute and are now living pain-free.
It is my pleasure to welcome to the program Brenda Graham.
How you doing, Brenda?
I'm doing great. How are you?
We are excellent. So, obviously, we already know your story, but our listeners and viewers do not know your story. So why don't you start from the beginning? Let us know how you started to experience pain.
I actually started 41 years ago when I was 14.
Okay.
Wow.
And with an injury at school, that's when I first started my chiropractic care. And I did that for probably 30 years between chiropractic care, physical therapy, spinal decompression, you name it, I did it, trying to avoid back surgery. Unfortunately, in 2013, I submitted to a spinal fusion. Went horribly wrong.
Hang on, Brenda. Let's back up for a quick minute.
Okay.
Going back to when you were 14, what was this accident or injury that you suffered?
It was actually playing basketball.
Okay.
And it started with severe whiplash to the point that I couldn't even hold my head up.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And they did traction therapy, chiropractic care, which helped a lot. At the age of 19, I found out that I had an extra vertebrae in my lower back, which was what was causing my lower back to hurt so much.
Wow.
They didn't do anything about it, said there was nothing that could be done. I just needed to deal with the pain and kind of learn what to do, what not to do.
Right. That doesn't sound too good.
I did that. I did a lot of, everything they told me to do.
Right. That's not a good prognosis, though, if they say there's nothing that can be done and will just live in pain the rest of your life.
Yeah, was it one of these pain management things that we hear about all the time, Brenda, where they just said, here, take some pills and deal with the pain?
Yeah.
I didn't do that until after my spinal fusion surgery.
Ooh, and just to put it into perspective for those that are watching via the stream or listening, you live in West Virginia, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So a local doctor or institute had done a spinal fusion on you, and it wasn't good?
No.
Okay. And we're talking traditional spine fusion.
Yes.
Okay.
Rods and screws.
Ooh, yeah.
was a very painful, long recovery. After 2 weeks, on the third week, it fell apart, actually.
It fell apart?
The rods and screws came loose and were moving every time I took a step, every time I moved, every time I did anything.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, man.
Caused tons of inflammation, lots and lots and lots of pain. They redid the surgery 3 months later.
Okay.
Alleviated some of the pain, but I still had, they told me, permanent nerve damage. My leg would always hurt. Recommended I file for disability. Recommended a spinal cord stimulator, which I decided not to do, and now I'm really glad I didn't do that.
Now, let me ask you this, Brenda, and I may have missed it, but whereabouts on your back was this fusion?
It was L4, L5.
Okay, so lower back.
Lower back.
And then and it fell apart. They redid it. I'm surprised you even, no offense to you, because as a patient, you don't know any better, but I'm surprised if you already had a failed procedure, you would say, all right, go ahead, go back in there and do something. But you probably didn't have a lot of options in West Virginia.
I didn't have a lot of options.
Right.
No other doctor around here would touch me.
Okay.
Because the other surgeon wouldn't acknowledge there was anything wrong.
Got it.
I actually was put in the hospital by the ER department and just said, you are not going home.
Wow.
So I kind of got stuck there.
But so everything fell apart. Were those things hitting the nerves?
They were hitting the nerves. They were, I had leg pain I'd never had before from it. So the pain that I was experiencing after the spinal fusion was actually worse than before the fusion.
Okay, and how was your range of motion with that traditional fusion?
It didn't seem to affect my range of motion, although during it I couldn't sit, stand, or walk for like 8 weeks.
Well, that does affect you.
That's affecting your life, I would say.
Even if it's for weeks at a time. But glad to hear that fell by the wayside. But obviously still in a lot of pain. How did you find out about the Bonati Spine Institute?
I posted something on Facebook, and a friend of mine responded and said, hey, you need to talk to my husband.
Okay.
Her husband had come down for surgery like 6 months prior. We started with my husband. He came down and he was having surgery, and I had decided I wasn't going to do anything. I was done.
Got it.
Too scared to let anybody else touch me.
Yeah.
But as I saw him get better with Dr. Bonati's surgeries and procedures, and every time his back was a total train wreck. It was horrible. But each time he did a level, he got better and he got better, and he's like, Brenda, you have to let him try. Please just let him look at it. And when I did, he looked at me and he said, I see why you're in pain. And what they have done is
when you say he,
not release it.
Okay, so pinched a nerve, they didn't release it, but by he you're meaning Dr. Bonati?
My surgeon here actually did it. Dr. Bonati's the one that said, this is why it's hurting.
Got it. Okay.
We can fix this. It's not permanent damage. I can fix this.
Okay.
I actually wrote him a letter, Dr. Bonati a letter, and told him I'm absolutely scared to death, gave him a little bit of my history, and I was almost in tears because I was so afraid to let somebody else go in there again.
Yeah,
well, I can imagine. I mean, you've already had essentially two failed back procedures. You're still in pain. It did nothing for you whatsoever. So you went down to visit Dr. Bonati, right? Let's jump ahead a little bit. What happened? How was your evaluation process?
It was very good. I mean, it was eye-opening because I understand more about my back than I've ever in my entire life. And so I've spent 41 years listening to doctors talk about my back, but for the first time, I actually understood why it hurt.
Okay.
And where it hurt, what made it hurt, and that it could be helped and fixed.
Yeah.
That was just so freeing. It's hard to explain. And the first thing he wanted to do was to take out the rods so that he could get to the area he needed to fix. As soon as those rods came out, half of my pain went away. It was just like amazing. 3 days after the surgery, I didn't even know I had surgery. It was that quick of a recovery.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So 40 years of pain, and just, would you say, hours or the next day after having a procedure done, all of that pain was gone from?
All that pain was gone.
Unreal.
At least half of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then when he went in and he actually fixed the nerve,
Right.
it was like you wake up and it's gone. I mean, it's just the most amazing experience you could ever have. If you've been in pain forever and you wake up and it's gone, and it's amazing.
Yeah. When did you notice a relief of the pain? Was it on the table? Was it up when you were in recovery?
In recovery, so that I stood up, because that's when my pain was the worst.
Got it.
When I would stand or walk or sit. Laying down seemed to relieve it, so it was kind of hard to tell.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I got up to walk, I'm like, it doesn't hurt at all.
Did you watch your surgery?
Yes, I did.
And did you know why it was so important to be interactive with Dr. Bonati and the staff during the surgeries?
Yes. Yes. And it's not as bad as what people think it is.
Right.
It's really not. It's kind of fun, actually.
I said the same thing when I
Kimberly said she
when I
had a
mine.
procedure. Yep.
I had a few, and when I had the procedure, I said it was fun, and everyone looked at me like, what are you talking about? And I agree with you, Brenda. What he does is miraculous, and especially someone that has lived in pain for 41 years, that is unbelievable.
So how are you feeling today, Brenda? Still
Excellent.
pain-free? Still pain-free?
Still pain-free.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for another surgery.
Okay.
My biggest frustration is insurance.
Of course.
It's been a pain.
Isn't it always? Mm-hmm.
It always is a pain. So as soon as I can get approval for the next surgery, I'll be back.
Can you just quickly summarize the type of pain that you had been in before the surgery? You said it was kind of like a dull aching.
It was dull aching. It was getting to where I couldn't walk. Like I used to walk 5 miles a day.
Yeah.
I went for a walk and made it 3 blocks and was worried I wasn't getting back home.
Well, I think that speaks for itself, and I'm so glad that you are regaining your strength and back in motion, Brenda. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Continued pain-free living, Brenda.
I sure will.
All right, have a
Take
good
care.
one. All right.
Those stories never get old. So if you know anyone that was suffering like Brenda, reach out to Bonati, 855-267-0483, or visit Bonati.com. Coming up after the break, you'll hear more. Make sure you stay tuned. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden, I can cook, and I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonatti Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonatti spine procedures, Alfred Bonatti, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonatti and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thanks for listening to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell, alongside Ethan Euchre, our radio executive producer and friend.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Well, we have an exciting guest, and this is kind of interesting. Dr. Joel Kahn, professor, preventative cardiologist, and author of The Whole Heart Solution, a #1 bestseller on Amazon, and he's here to discuss the topic of heart age and how for many of us, our hearts are actually older than we are. So why don't you go ahead and explain this to us, Dr. Kahn?
Absolutely, and I hope it's a young and healthy day for everybody listening, but the outside doesn't necessarily reflect the inside. Just like you have a good-looking apple, you bite into it, and yuck.
Oof, yes.
So my job is looking inside, particularly at people's vascular, their heart and blood vessels. And you can be 50 years old, and you can be 30 inside, you can be 70 inside, and you can't tell. You certainly can't tell with a stethoscope. You can't tell with an EKG. You can't tell with most routine blood work.
How can you tell?
Some clues, you know. Even there are people that have elevated blood sugar, blood cholesterol. They're still got arteries that are acting youthful. It's a very complex process of dozens of factors. So you need to check. And this latest study was a calculator. You're 50 years old, plug in your cholesterol, your blood pressure, a couple parameters that we've been using for 40 years. The average American calculated 8 years older than their birth date on their driver's license.
Ooh.
To me, that's interesting because it's going to wake up the public and maybe get them to live a healthier lifestyle. It's not accurate. You can look at arteries nowadays. In my town, Detroit, for $75, you can get a CAT scan of your heart arteries that will absolutely tell you the age. And I see people every day, and they're 50, and their arteries are perfect. So I tell them, you are 20 inside. And I see people 50 every day, and their arteries are literally 75, 80 years old, and it's very serious. We picked it up before the heart attack, before the bypass, and if they're willing to play the game, we get their lifestyle in order and vitamins and healthy diets, and we try and reverse the process. So, there's an ancient English physician 500 years ago. A man is as old as his arteries, and that's kind of what the study was, and that's what my specialty.
Well, you say they're man, so here's what I want to know, because
that's an
in
old
the background
English
information,
too, right?
well, hold on. It says men's hearts are an average of 7.8 years older than their chronicle ages, and women's were averaging about 5.4 years.
Yeah.
And I guess this is is this all different races or Caucasians? Because I also see here it's a skyrocketing number for other ethnicities.
Minorities.
Or minorities.
Specifically,
the rates are highest in African American women, typically, unfortunately, very overweight, maybe not engaged in the medical system, diabetes, blood pressure, cholesterol. So it's true. And it's also, it's in the midlife. If you looked at a group that were 75, 80, the women would be, a lot of the guys are dead by then, and the women would show.
Would they be happier?
Hang on, Dr. Kahn. Yeah, it goes back to an old joke. Why do men die before their wives?
Because they want to.
Exactly, because they want to.
My wife's not listening. She's a good one.
But anyways, why is there such a gender gap in the findings?
Women, unless a woman is type 1 or type 2 diabetes or smokes, women tend to be quite youthful till they complete menopause. And then the dropping hormonal levels, the rapid drop in hormonal levels, really start to age the process.
Notice how it's called
starts
men.
To rise, weight is more difficult to control, sleep gets impaired, and sleep is critical for healthy hearts. So women catch up, and heart disease is the #1 killer of men and women. Without question. But on average, women get this disease a decade after men start to develop it. The 52-year-old guy who drops dead may be the 68-year-old woman that drops dead, and neither should happen. There's a CAT scan this is my plea to the public every day I can get the message out. There's a CAT scan that's in my city, costs $75 or $100, called a coronary artery calcium CAT scan. Every hospital does it on a CAT scanner. It takes 10 seconds, no iodine, no allergies, no reason you can't have one. You feel, I'm going to go play squash, handball, I'm great, I'm Superman. It will tell you in 10 seconds if those arteries are 30 years old or 70 years old, because you'll find out right away. And that's what people should be getting, like a mammogram.
Okay, why isn't it a routine test?
It isn't, it's interesting. In Texas, a legislator had a heart attack, got this rammed through the state legislature, and everybody can get one, and it's covered by insurance in Texas because one man fought the battle. That story is told in an amazing documentary called The Widowmaker. It came out earlier this year, 90 minutes. It reads like a John Grisham novel, but it's really how the insurance and the medical and the legal system works to get things covered. Why in 48 states do you have to pay out of pocket? Because we have an upside-down medical system where prevention is ignored, and we mop you up once you're on the floor dying and bleeding with the best medical care for acute medicine, but preventive medicine doesn't get the shake. We should flip it around, spend 90% of our dollars on preventing disease, and we would drop heart attack and diabetes and other rates, adult diabetes, dramatically.
Well, Dr. Kahn, one more time, what is the name of that CAT scan so people listening and watching?
And artery calcium score. CACS would be coronary artery calcium CAT scan. But there's no reason. If you've had a stent or a bypass, don't get one. You know you have a blockage.
How old should people? I mean, I'm 35. Do I need to go get one of those, or can I wait?
And I would say the only exception would be if you've had some very young relative or your cholesterol's 400. But on average, no. The American College of Cardiology says, and the American College of Cardiology is conservative. Start thinking about it at age 40 and up. I'm looking for it in the mid-40s to 50 range first time. Maybe do it again 10 years later. It's the same radiation as a mammogram, which is considered low radiation. And it's the easiest thing to do.
Why is it people in Louisiana have a much higher heart, age, and then those in Utah are predominantly lower with the years of age on the heart?
Beats the heck out of the Baptist church, but I don't think it's anything to do with it. It's probably the food and the sunshine that's served, but the food that's served at the Baptist church versus the Mormon church. Certainly there has been a study 2 months ago that the classic Southern diet of fried foods and heavy meats and gravies is statistically, scientifically proven to raise your risk of heart disease. Surprise, but there was a formal study of it. Nobody really...
I think we knew this all along. Yeah.
There also are a ton of chemical pesticides. The cotton industry is right around Louisiana at its densest. The number one crop that has to use pesticides to grow is cotton. And there are environmental studies that show me where they're using pesticides. I'll show you where there's obesity and heart disease. That's a really interesting and sad idea about how we've polluted our environment.
But why doesn't the FDA step in at that point? Topics always to discuss, and we should have you back on, Dr. Joel Kahn.
Yeah, where can people get your book, Dr. Kahn?
Yeah, The Whole Heart Solution is on all the big booksellers. It hit #1. It's got a whole life plan, how to protect yourself from the #1 killer in America so you can enjoy life and not take 12 pills when you're 75 years old. I use medication. I'm in the office right now seeing patients, but I like natural approaches. Prevent, not stent.
All right.
Exactly. Thank you so much for sharing your opinion on this and your time with us. Good luck continued with your book. And again, if you want it, you can.
You guys helped some people today. I'm glad to be part of that.
We're trying. Dr. Joel Kahn, appreciate you joining us.
Have a wonderful
You take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
The Whole Heart Solution. Make sure you check it out on Amazon. Well, that about wraps up this segment on American Medicine Today. Make sure you stay tuned. Coming up on the flip side of the break, we'll have more. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now, I can garden, I can cook, and I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Bermel.
Thank you for joining us on American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Bermel with our radio executive producer, Ethan Euchre.
Always glad to be here.
Well, we have an exciting young woman on the line. Her name is Kelly Schaefer, and she seemingly had it all but was rendered a quadriplegic after being hit by a drunk driver at the age of 19. Now, her tragic story has been featured on ESPN and is chronicled in her new memoir, Fractured, Not Broken, Overcoming Setbacks with a Vengeance, a real-life story of heroic virtue, and she's here to tell us about it. So thank you for joining us, Kelly.
Thank you.
It's a pretty incredible story, Kelly, but let's take us back and paint a picture, if you will. Prior to 1999, which is when you had this accident, you were a star athlete, cheerleader, dating a star basketball player. Tell us what your life was like back then. You had it all, by all accounts.
Yeah. You know, back then, when I was 19, I lived a pretty carefree life, and I honestly thought everybody did. I was living in a bubble. And I was an IU cheerleader, was going to major in elementary education, was a freshman at IU, which is Indiana University, and was in a 3-year relationship with a guy named Luke, who was a college basketball player. And life was really good at the time.
And then everything changed for the tragic family vacation in July of 1999. Tell us what happened that night.
Yeah, that night, it was the last night of our family vacation. And my brother, along with my boyfriend at the time, Luke, just decided to go out with a bunch of the members of the Dude Ranch staff just to have a good time and say our goodbyes. And we met around 9:30, and it immediately became tragic about 5 minutes into our drive, where the drunk driver swerved over the center line and hit our caravan. It was a 4-car accident, and 13 people got injured, one of them being a death, the other being the other major one being my brother Jason, who had a brain injury, and myself with a spinal cord injury. And everyone else had bumps and bruises and broken arms. But, yeah, it was a very tragic night, to say the least.
What was the nature of your injury and the prognosis? Because when you're through something that's obviously so tragic, and you know you have a spinal cord injury. What were the doctors saying? And at that point, you must have realized your whole world came to a screeching halt.
Right. When they said you broke your neck, I immediately thought of Christopher Reeve and sitting in his wheelchair. And I just thought, I cannot do that. And they give you some hope, you know, like wait till the swelling goes down. And I fractured my spine at the C4 level. And so my spinal cord was never cut. It was just bruised. And so they said, you know, just wait, but it looks very unlikely that you'll ever walk again. And so immediately your carefree life becomes just the opposite. And you have thoughts of how am I going to live, to how am I going to get a job, who is going to marry me, how can I be a mother. And so it's a flood of questions. And the doctors kind of give you a year just to see what you're going to be left with as far as mobility when you have a spinal cord injury.
Right, because a lot of times after these injuries, some of that motion is regained to a point. How was that in your case?
Yeah, I did regain some mobility past my injury. I have movement in my left arm, my left wrist, and I have both uses of my shoulders. And I also have feeling everywhere, which is different from most people who suffer a spinal cord injury. And so technically with a C4 level, you might not even be able to breathe on your own. So I got very lucky by having some mobility past my injury site.
And you say you got lucky, Kelly. That is a mindset that usually helps people with these kind of injuries, staying positive, things like that. I, as sort of a born pessimist, have always thought if something like that happened to me, you wouldn't be able to pull me out of that kind of depression. How did you rise above your accident?
Right. Well, when you're hospitalized, I was hospitalized at RIC in Chicago, and there in Chicago, I was on the floor with people who were worse off than me. And the saying that things can always be worse is totally true and totally helpful. I saw people who couldn't breathe on their own. I saw people who weren't going to make it. And it just gave me, you know, some hope to just take what I have left and use it to the best of my ability. But also I have a great support system. My family and my friends and, of course, my faith is what really pulled me through. Everybody just kept moving forward. No one ever really looked back and felt sorry for herself or said, why me? And so I just kind of did what they did.
So you're taking one day at a time. You think that obviously things could be worse. And then truly to make matters worse, your boyfriend decided to leave you on Thanksgiving. So someone you had been with for 3 years, probably considering maybe marriage even, saying he couldn't handle life now with a quadriplegic. That must have been absolutely devastating.
Right.
How did you handle?
At the time, you know, that hurt worse than being hit by a car.
I bet.
And I look back now, and I do have forgiveness in my heart for him. But at the time, it was just so difficult to realize that someone was breaking up with you for something you can't change.
Correct.
And that left me feeling very different and very kind of ashamed of who I have become in this wheelchair.
Right.
And so heartbreak is difficult whether you're standing or sitting, but to have both at the same time was very difficult to go through. And that was a long healing process. So, yeah, it was just like a double whammy.
Sort of a crazy parallel, Kelly, that you get into in your book. And what I found, one of the most amazing parts is that while you're trying to get your life back together, you had just broken up with your boyfriend at the time. And I guess you were featured on ESPN in a piece about what had happened to you, sort of a cautionary tale about drunk driving and this and that. Unbeknownst to you, the man who would become your husband saw that and sought you out, right? It's one of these sort of love stories that can only be written for the big screen. Tell us a little bit about that, and Sean.
Right. And, you know, it sounds kind of crazy and kind of creepy, but yes, my husband was watching that ESPN clip. And then 7 years later, he just had that story still in his mind and just kind of wondered where I was and how I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess God just kind of kept laying it on his heart. And so he had work in Indiana and was kind of passing through our town and just decided to stop by and see if he could drop off the letter that he had written, just telling me how much of an inspiration I was.
Mm-hmm.
And he instead came to the door, and one thing led to another. It's kind of a long story. That's why I put it in the book. But
right.
One thing led to another, and now we're married. So
Yeah, you say that it's a long story, and I read a vast majority of it, and I was even moved by it, which says a lot. So it's pretty amazing how the stars all kind of aligned for you.
It was fate.
It was fate. I mean, you guys must talk about that nowadays. That it's a romance
and
novel.
the saying, I always thought the saying, things happen for a reason. It's so cliche, and I kind of just rolled my eyes at that. But they really do happen for a reason, and my story is a true testament to that.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And so bring us sort of to now. I mean, you went through a lot of rehabilitation, things like that. You went back to school, you graduated, you're a teacher now. I think you just, before I called you, class just got out. So you've come a long way.
Yeah. I went back to school. I became a teacher, which I always wanted. And I got married to Sean in 2006. No, sorry. We met in 2007. We got married in 2009. And we just recently adopted 2 children from Africa.
Oh, wow.
And they came home a couple weeks ago.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. Our lives are crazy and wonderful, and we feel completely blessed with what God has provided.
Oh. Well, it also says here that you won the Miss Wheelchair Indiana contest as well.
Yes, I did win the Miss Indiana Wheelchair contest.
That's awesome.
But then I went to Miss Wheelchair America, and I did not. It's a pageant that I kind of laughed at.
Okay.
Until I got there, and there are so many amazing women that are in wheelchairs and that have families and amazing jobs, and it just was a pageant that led me to a lot of hope that I'm going to be okay.
Aww.
Yeah, and you kind of broke up there. Did you say you did win, or you placed, or how'd you do?
So I won Miss Wheelchair Indiana, but then Miss Wheelchair America, I did not place there.
But you know what?
But you made it.
Kudos to you for putting yourself in the pageant to begin with and getting yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the lessons I learned from that were invaluable. So it was a great experience.
I wanted to ask you real quick as we sort of wrap up here, Kelly. What is the prognosis nowadays? And we, being a show that speaks about spinal injuries all the time, Dr. Bonatti, that's what he specializes in. We've talked about stem cell therapy for spine injuries, people that were paralyzed. We've talked about epidural stimulation. Have you looked into any of those, and what is the prognosis of you ever walking again?
A lot of people talk about research, and I'm so happy that they are working on it around the clock. And there's fundraisers and things like that for people to walk again. As for me and what I would kind of do, I am not willing to risk what I have going on right now to walk again. I am a little bit too fearful of what I would lose. And so I would wait until hundreds or maybe even thousands of people have gone through it and have seen success.
Wow.
And that is something that my opinion has changed. My first year after my accident, I would have done anything to walk again.
Yeah.
But now there's just too much in jeopardy. And I have found happiness sitting down.
Yeah.
And I would love to walk again, but I'm happy they're doing research. But as for me, I would always encourage it, but as for me, it's just not for me right now.
Gotcha. Well, as long as you found happiness, that's what truly counts.
Exactly. What an inspirational story you have. We have Kelly Schaefer, a woman who had it all, was rendered a quadriplegic after being hit by a drunk driver at age 19. Make sure you check out her book, Fractured Not Broken, Overcoming Setbacks with a Vengeance, a real-life story of heroic virtue. Can you tell people where, if they are interested in buying the memoir, where they can pick it up?
Yeah, you can buy it on Amazon.
Okay.
You can buy it online at Barnes & Noble.
Okay.
Or any e-reader on your Kindle, on your iPad, anything like that.
Okay.
So it is available for $15 paperback and for $6 on the e-reader.
Perfect.
Well, I want to check it out. Thank you so much, Kelly Schaefer, for joining us on American Medicine today. Continued good health, and hopefully we find that miraculous thing that can get you up and walking again.
All right.
Thanks,
Well,
Kelly.
thank you so much.
Take care.
Have a good one.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, if you or someone you know is suffering with neck, back, or sciatic pain, even if you've been in an accident that could have bruised your spine, Bonati Spine Procedures can help a tremendous amount of people. Reach out to Bonati.com or 855-267-0483. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati Spine Procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati Spine Procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden. I can cook. And I'm really thrilled. The outcome has been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati Spine Procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati Spine Procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati Spine Procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thanks for continuing to listen to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by our radio executive producer, Ethan Euchre.
Happy to be here, as always.
Yes, and our friend and senior fellow, also known as Junior Mint, as our term of endearment for Jeff Wagstaff.
Thank you for having me.
And across from me, we have world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati of the Bonati Spine Institute. Thanks for sharing your time with us.
Good morning.
Well, you know, we have Doc wound up, and typically we talk about what's new.
Yes, we do.
Let's look at what's new in medicine Today, featuring Alfred Bonati, MD.
Well, he's going to talk about Obamacare's unfair and dangerous hospital readmissions reduction program.
All right, what do you got, Doc?
Well, we need to understand that Obamacare is not only a disaster, it's also an incredible abuse to the American population that suffers of any type of illnesses. Is a type of a program that is created in socialistic societies to just practically derail the health care so the old people can die instead that the old people be treated.
Correct.
You can see the population of the United States when sometimes, mainly in Florida, you see people that they are 60, 70, 80 years old running on the streets and looking healthy, and they have a tremendous amount of zest for life. But then you see at the other side the government playing games with that people. One of the problems is that you need to understand that in the type of a treatment of the Obama program is the unfair and dangerous hospital readmissions. Physicians are accustomed to see a patient and monitor the patient. If a patient comes to a doctor, we go and we say, okay, this is the diagnosis, this is how we're going to treat this patient, and then sometimes the patient required to be in the hospital. This stupid program is so poorly calculated and so incredibly unfair for the population because physicians and patients are being now put in some type of a program where the physician needs to do the right diagnosis immediately and the patient needs to be cured immediately. So that situation doesn't happen in any type of a healthcare, in any type of a body. You need to treat the patient accordingly to the age, accordingly to the status of health. You need to evaluate this patient. You need to be able to make this patient better in a program system. Well, but when the government comes over and tells you you're going to put the patient in the hospital, and if you readmit the patient in 30 days, then the hospital is going to be punished for that readmission. When you create that, remember, physicians create hospitals. Why we create hospitals? We create hospitals because we want to put patients where we can observe them, we can pamper them, we can be sure that these patients are going to do something that is going to get him in some sort of a solution, and then send them home when we believe that this patient is afford to go home.
Correct.
This other one, the actual hospitals today are hospital for profit. So because they are hospital for profit, they are going to push the physicians to throw these patients out of the hospital. So we are going to have a lot of this population not only poorly treated, but at the same time, when they are going to readmit, because the hospital is going to be punished because of that readmission, you are going to see these patients not being readmitted. So the chronic problem is going to accelerate. The health of these patients is going to suffer, and the result of the health care is going to be a massive amount of people on the streets with illnesses that they are not properly treated, and they are not resolving the situation.
Now, Doc, is a lot of that just sort of simple economics, like supply and demand, because it's a private for-profit hospital? The more empty beds, the more you can fill them. So you want to get somebody out of there so you can get somebody else in there because it'll make more money coming in?
Yeah, probably that is what profit hospital. But the problem is, it's okay a profit hospital.
Sure.
Or the hospital for profit. The problem is that hospital is not going to be able to readmit the patient. So the administrators of the hospitals are going to put a block. If you treat the patient and that patient, for example, in chronic illnesses, the patient has a heart attack. I mean, you don't really know how that heart attack is going to perform in the next month or so. And sometimes in the first 45, 30 days is when these things can be totally deadly. So if you don't have the right to readmit the patient and reevaluate the patient, and if the hospital is not going to accept this patient because the readmission is going to be affecting their income, then this patient is going to stay at home, and the doctor will need to treat this patient at home. So he doesn't have the way to evaluate this patient. In the clinic, you cannot evaluate this patient, and then the next thing that happens, the patient will die. This is what is going to bring Obama, thanks to these programs that they are not only incompetent, but they think them totally irresponsible, not acceptable for American medicine. It's very acceptable for Russian medicine or Chinese medicine, but it's not acceptable for this country.
Well, the thing I think is amazing here is it says the American Heart Association, in the month after a heart attack, the likelihood of death is 21 times higher than that among the general Medicare population. And then they go on to say, and in the months after heart failure, the likelihood of death is 17 times higher. So Obamacare is trying to say that these are preventable readmissions.
Well, we talked in the beginning. These are the typical socialistic medicine.
Correct.
They want to make the people who suffer chronic illnesses or the people who have certain age, that by age is going to have some type of these problems, to die.
Exactly.
This is what you call the programs to eliminate part of the society
death panels?
of unproductive, the death panels. And it's being very, very astutely created by socialistic societies. And we are falling in that situation.
Right. Well,
sorry.
That's okay. On that note,
That's a look at what's new in medicine today with Alfred Bonatti, MD.
I'm a little trigger happy sometimes.
That discussion could continue for weeks on end, I'm sure. Well, you've joined us for a very fun-filled, jam-packed program. Make sure you tune in to us on WFTS, ABC, and on Bloomberg. Check your local listings both Saturdays and Sundays. Remember, tweet at Dr. Bonatti and like us on Facebook. See you next time. Bye-bye. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden. I can cook. And I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.